DNA Nutrition Blueprint. Hey, this is Billy Beck III. What I wanted to do was to do a recording because I know you're busy. I want to add some value to your life. And the DNA Nutrition Blueprint is really important because it's how you fuel your body for life. And as more research comes out about eating according to your DNA, we find that it affects all aspects of health. We may not understand the mechanisms quite yet of it, but we do know it's beneficial. And what I've really noticed over the last 12, 14 years of doing DNA testing and having people apply it and being there with them and seeing how their body responds is it's easier to stick to the eating plan that you're genetically matched to. And so if that's all it did, it would be worth it because it's less of a struggle. You feel better. It's easier to be your best and to feel your best. And so willpower is one of those things that fatigues. It's like a muscle. The more decisions you make, this is referred to as decision fatigue in the research of willpower, self-control, and decision making. The more decisions you make, the poorer your decision making due to decision fatigue. So this is often attributed to why we make poor decisions later in the day. When do people usually blow their nutrition plan or their diet? It's at night because they haven't usually eaten enough, got enough nutrients during the day. Sun goes down, less light enters the eye. The brain now knows that it's time to go to sleep. It's not a time to eat. And so it's like, hey, we didn't get enough nutrients today to rebuild, repair, and restore. So it's going to send a message out. A neurotransmitter enzyme is going to team up and say, eat, and it often overrides your willpower. And so what you have here is something that you got to look at again and again and again and really master this. There are a few things in life that are important for everybody. Learning how your body operates is definitely one of them. There's some things no one should delegate, and it's your health and your fitness. You should not delegate that. You must take command. And that's why this program, this coaching program, is not really a body transformation program. That's a side effect. This is really a self-mastery system. And it's a system of mastering not just what you eat and how you train and to live a long time, but take command today. How do you feel good today? How do you call forth your highest and best self and live from that place so you can live greatly, have a positive impact on everyone around you, hopefully leaving a legacy, and on top of that, having no regrets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through the blueprint so that you can listen to this as you're doing other things, get those reps in, those focused reps, and you can also read it on your own as well. But you're going to need to look at it to see all the examples because this thing is packed with information. Andrea and I have done a lot of work on this, and it's specific to you, so understand that. And so let's get into it. This is your DNA Nutrition Blueprint. It's the art and science of fueling your body, and it's how to eat for life. Now, I'm going to add some things and do some commentary as we go through this. And here's something you want to understand. There are 3 types of eating plans. You could call them diets, but the word diet has become something that it's not. It's originally from a word, it's derived from a word, I believe it's pronounced dieta, which means a way of life or a lifestyle. But as we've gone through, people are looking for shortcuts, and marketers will gladly tell you what you want to hear in order to take your money. And so diets have become these short-term fixes that backfire, that don't work because they're not sustainable. So with that said, there are 3 types of eating plans. The first one is a genetically matched or nutrigenomic eating plan, which is what you're going to learn here today, specific for you. Everyone should have that, and that's the way you eat most of the time. Now, the other eating plans are short term. So when you eat according to your DNA, this is how you eat for life. You can sustain it, but you can also do short term options, like what I call a therapy. So some eating plans are therapy. So if you ever heard of a juice cleanse, you can't do a juice cleanse the rest of your life. It's not even smart to do that, right? Even if you could. But a juice cleanse is a short-term protocol for a specific health benefit, but it's not sustainable. But if you do something like that, and then you go to your genetic eating plan, you can sustain those results, those benefits. But the problem is people will do something like that and then they just go back to the whatever eating plan, and then they don't make any progress. They lose all the progress they did if they made any at all, because a lot of these programs don't work. So those are therapies. This could be a detoxification protocol that's more concentrated. So like saying, hey, for 5 days, we're going to do this fast. We're going to have these nutrients. That would be a detoxification, like an intensive one. But what you really want is a way of detoxing every day. You're exposed to toxins every day. So what is a 5-day or 21-day or whatever day detox really worth if you're not doing these other things all the other days? It's not really doing anything. And most detox and cleanses just make you go to the bathroom a lot. They don't even remove toxins. In fact, we for the longest time, up until about 10 years ago, I believe, we believed there was 3 phases of detoxification. Now we know there's 4. There might be more, we don't even know. But later on, I'll teach you more about that. But today it's about learning about nutrition. So the first eating plan is eat according to your DNA. The second type of eating plan is a therapy, short term for a specific health benefit. And the third type is an experimental plan. What that means is it's for performance. So just like a therapy, it's short term and it's designed to accelerate results in terms of like burning fat, building muscle, increasing strength, explosiveness, some sort of performance goal. But again, it's not sustainable. But that's something you can work in here and there and then get magnified results and then come back to your DNA eating plan to sustain them and continue to improve. Got it? All right. So let me ask you some questions. What if there was a way of eating that you could quickly learn how to implement and adjust so that you could take command of your body? What if you wanted to burn off excess body fat and knew exactly how to do it? What if you knew exactly how to scan your body and behavior to know how to overcome the dreaded plateau? What if you had a simple and effective strategy to build muscle and boost your metabolic rate and thwart the traditional signs of aging? What if you knew what to eat based on science and your body's preferences, your DNA? Nutrition can be confusing. A lot of companies are trying to grab your attention and dip their greasy fingers into your brain and your bank account. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. But what is disturbing is that many of these people in these companies will say anything to get you to click and tap to steal your time, attention, and energy. Never again. This is where it ends. You are going to learn a proven nutrition system and how to adjust it based on your genetic preferences. The challenge with nutrition is not only in the widespread misinformation and deception, but also food is emotional. Many of us have been conditioned to use food as a stress relief tool. This often leads to overeating and weight gain, among other things. There are only 2 things you need to achieve anything. A sustainable strategy that works. You need an effective plan that you can continue to do. That's the physiology. And you need the mindset to carry it through, the psychology. Now, I recorded a coach cast, you may have already heard it, to assist you with the psychology of eating, what I call mindful fueling. It's a skill that anyone can develop through intention and focused repetition. It will assist you greatly, especially if you have had challenges with overeating and sticking to an eating plan in the past. Now that link's in the PDF. Now it's time to learn a strategy that not only works, but you can do it for life. Introducing the Fire Fuel Nutrition System. Over the last 3 decades, we have reviewed thousands of lab tests, including genetic testing, but more importantly, I have stood beside and have assisted thousands of people on their path of mind-body mastery. This experience has been immensely valuable. I have learned what works and what does not. I have personally tested nearly every diet you can imagine. Growing up in martial arts, I eagerly followed the advice of Bruce Lee, who stated, absorb what is useful, discard what is useless. The nutrition system that I am sharing with you today is the culmination of decades of experience, thousands of lab tests, and the effort of over 3,000 clients who have transformed and continue to live it to this day. Here's what you need to know. There are 4 primary meals that are needed to create lasting change. Fire, Fuel, Fuel Plus, and Free. I'll go through these real quick, but there's graphics in the PDF that demonstrate this. Now, what I did over the years was some people, you can measure and weigh your food, but that's not something people want to do the rest of their life. So this is a way of looking at your plate and using your hand as a portioning tool to estimate your fuel intake. Now, genetically, your body will prefer one of these meals. But you'll have all these meals at times based off your goals. So you want to know what all of them are. This is how you mix and match, plug and play your nutrition system so that it's effortless, seemingly effortless. But a Fuel Plus meal is protein, veggies, fats, and high octane carbs. So it's a little bit of everything. A Fire meal would be a reduced carbohydrate meal. Now, a lot of people say, oh, I'm sensitive to carbs. Usually you're just not eating the right amount of food and protein. That's really what it is. But let's get away from the stories. Let's take away all the stories of limitation. Erase the past and let's start anew. Because your beliefs about what works and what doesn't work for you often are misled because you haven't tested them. You haven't looked at your labs. You haven't looked at your DNA. And then you haven't have a structured way of saying like, hey, for this period of time, I'm going to measure, follow the plan, remeasure it, and I'm going to see what really works for me. And you have it right in front of you here, my friends. So you have Fuel Plus meals, which are a little bit of everything. Fire meals, which are the reduced carbs. So there's no high octane carbs in that. So it's veggies, protein, and fats. Then a Fuel meal, which is a lower fat, a reduced fat meal, which contains veggie, protein, and high octane carbs. Now, high octane carbs are carbs closest to their natural source. These are, quote, good carbs. Now, there's one more meal, and this isn't a bad meal. This is an essential meal. It's called a free meal, not a cheat meal. Because when you use the word cheat, subconsciously, we think it's bad, so we feel guilty when we have a cheat meal. A free meal is anything that fits on a plate. You want to eat mindfully, of course, until you're about 80% full. So don't eat a whole pizza and black out because you ate too much, right? This is common sense. But what we want to do is we want to enjoy food. We want to savor food. We don't want to worship it. We don't want to make food a religion. Food is fuel, and we need to have a reverence for it, but not allow it to control us, not to use it as a stress relief tool. So those are the 4 meals: Fuel Plus, Fuel, Fire, and Free. And so those are the parts that you need to understand. Now, this is an important quote. This is the single most important factor in nutrition. The amount of energy you consume compared to the amount of energy you burn off each day is the single most important nutrition factor. In physics, this is referred to as the first law of thermodynamics. In terms of food, we measure energy in calories. Calories are not good or bad. Calories are a unit of measurement, like gallons of gasoline or liters of petrol. A certain number of calories are required in order for the trillions of cells in the human body to operate efficiently. The law of balance, or the law of the effective dose range, states there is an overdose and an underdose to everything. For example, we all know that too little water can lead to death due to dehydration, but too much water can dilute sodium levels and cause the heart to stop. This is called hyponatremia. Nothing to fear though, just using as an example of the law of balance. This usually happens in hazing in college, sometimes water drinking contests, like that happened to a woman who was trying to win a gaming console for a child, and they had her drink whoever drank the most water in a certain amount of time, and this happened. It was sad. But the law of balance states you can have too much or too little of anything. The effective dose is somewhere near the middle. So here's the bottom line. This is what you need to know. You can eat too much and gain unwanted fat, body fat, which leads to chronic inflammation. Or you can eat too little and lose lean body mass and decrease your metabolic rate. All we need is a way to know approximately how much food, energy, fuel you are consuming. Now, food, fuel, energy, calories are all the same thing when we're talking here. Here's what's great about the Fire Fuel nutrition system. You don't need to measure, weigh, or track your calories, protein, carbs, and fats. You can if you want, but you don't need to. This way you can do it anytime, anywhere. There's nothing wrong with tracking and measuring. I do it myself and recommend it to many others. The downside with measuring and weighing your food is that it's hard to do when you are traveling. And there's a point where you don't need to do it anymore. Once you hit your goal, you don't really need to track your food. I do it occasionally to get back on track because we can be slipping. Now, I teach a separate system that involves measuring, weighing, and tracking your food. But here, this is a method you can do now. Tracking your food you'll do for a period of time when we need it. But how do you fuel your body in a way that is simple and effective and can be done anywhere with ease once you learn it? That's what we're talking about here with the Fire Fuel Nutrition System. We need a way to approximate the amount of calories, energy, fuel we ingest, so we use the hand portion method. Now in the PDF, there is a graphic in here showing you the serving size for protein, for instance, which is 1 palm, your palm, so that way it's specific to you. A serving size of vegetables is like a fist-sized serving. A serving of high-octane carbs is like if you cup your hand, like you're gonna drink water out of your hand or something, if you ever did that. And then a serving of fats is 1 thumb. And look at the picture, it'll make more sense. And we have actual graphics and pictures in here, which keeps it very, very simple. Now, why DNA nutrition testing? We are all alike, but we are also different in terms of how our bodies evolved due to our ancestry and the climate and food choices that were available. To best describe this, I'll share what we wrote in Tony Robbins' global best-selling book, Life Force, The Power of Aligning Your Diet with Your DNA. A useful tool to determine how your body utilizes carbohydrates and fats is a genetic test. In a 2-year study comparing the effects of a genetically matched diet versus a ketogenic diet, they found weight loss after the first 12 weeks was nearly identical. Now here's an important note that's not in the book. In this study, each person consumed about the same number of calories, so they ate the same amount of foods. It's very important in research. But after 2 years, the participants in the ketogenic group began to gain their weight back as they struggled to stay consistent because they weren't eating according to their DNA. You understand that, right? So those who ate according to their genotype, their optimal diet type, not only lost significantly more weight at the end of the 2 years, but also reduced total cholesterol, increased the beneficial cholesterol called HDL, and improved fasting blood glucose levels. This is really important. It appears that humans from different ancestral backgrounds utilize carbohydrates and fats differently. Now that's the genetic difference in humans. Why is this? International travel is a new occurrence. It's only been over the last century or so that humans began to travel in masses. In fact, it is estimated that 99% of the world's population did not travel 20 miles beyond where they were born 100, 150 years ago. So prior to this, cultures married within the same population, so the gene pool was similar. Consider the Inuit, who reside in the harsh Arctic climate. For centuries, they consumed a diet mainly of fat and protein from fatty cold water fish, seals, and caribou, with basically no plants, no agriculture or dairy products, and it was unusually low in carbohydrates. Compare this to the traditional Caribbean islander diet, which is the polar opposite of the Inuit. High in plant-based carbohydrates derived from fruits and roots, and very low fat seafood. Because the water's warm, the animals do not need to have insulation, unlike in the Arctic. Now, what happens when these two groups have children? What about when their children have children? Well, there's only one way to find out for sure. Genetically test to see what traits they inherited. This type of testing offers important data that can help eliminate the trial and error of what your body's genetically preferred fuel source is. Is it carbohydrates, fats, or a combination of the two? Now, let's look at your optimal diet type according to your genetic testing results. And then in the PDF, it will tell you your genetic type. It's going to be 1 of 4. So whatever your genetic type is, your optimal diet results is you'll have a primary meal. So either fuel plus, fuel, or fire. But no matter what your predominant nutrition type is, we will use a combination of all those meals to hit your goals. So there's a time for all of these, but this is your home. That's what you want to know. So this is the one that if you could only pick one, this is the one you're going to feel the best on and thrive on. So in the PDF, it then will tell you your personalized plan of attack. This is your fuel up routine. And I call it the treasure map because like a treasure map is really interesting. You can get these like at libraries and museums, copies of them online. And there's actual treasure there. I have several clients now that are treasure hunters. And one of them lives in Europe and he gets these maps. And there was a time before banks were a thing that people would get their gold and their silver or their jewelry and stuff, and they would hide it and then kind of create like it's like a cast, like kind of like concrete, and they would wedge it somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and then it would be safe, and then they'd come back when they need it and hammer and chisel it out. But these were found in tough locations. So the treasure map is an analogy for, hey, here's the map. That's the easy part. That's what I do, right? That's the science of achievement. Now, what is the art of living it? That's your part. And so you're not going to be perfect at this. But what's cool is you can have the certainty to know that this works. And I'm going to teach you here how to make adjustments. Like, how do you measure and take the feelings out of it? Because feelings tend to exaggerate. They create illusions. They distort information and cause us to make poor decisions. So how do we get beyond that? So what you have so far is you know how your body works. This is how your body genetically prefers its food, its fuel. Carbs, fats, proteins, what do you need? You know that now. And then you have a treasure map, a blueprint, if you will, of the whole week. And it'll have Sunday through Saturday, and here's the meals. And this is the place you're gonna start. Now, on here at the bottom, it will also say you wanna get 8,000 or more steps per day. There's a reason for that. I'm not gonna go into it right now, but we need to know that data because you will burn more calories outside of your training sessions throughout the day, just in general activity, than actually training. And so think that through a little bit and let that sink in, because later on you're going to need to know that. So if you have any type of watch or device or anything that measures a pedometer, start looking at that number. Just no need to do extra steps right now. Just see what you're doing. What's the average? I have a client that only walks like 2,000 steps a day. That's less than a mile. And they have all this joint pain and stuff. So the goal was, okay, let's get to 2,500. Around 2,250 steps is a mile, by the way. But you want to start looking at that. That's an important optic to look at. All right, now let's get in. What are the best foods to eat? This is Mother Nature's kitchen. Mother Nature does not make mistakes. So it's best to choose foods that are closest to their natural source. The more processed the food is, in most cases, the less nutrients it tends to contain. Foods that lack nutrients tend to cause cravings and overeating. Now, the closer a food is to its natural source, the more nutrient-rich the food tends to be. Nutrient-dense foods tend to make you feel satisfied without overeating. You just feel better on them. With that said, there are 4 categories of food that you will need to know in order to take command of your nutrition. So you need to be able to look at a food and put it in one of these categories. This is very important for you to master nutrition. Because when you don't know this, anyone can trick you and get you to think something is good. They can tell you like, oh, carbs are bad, fats are bad, protein's bad, this type of protein's good, this type of protein. Most cases people are just making things up or they just don't know. But your homework is, and it's your responsibility to know what category foods fit in. So the categories are proteins, high octane carbohydrates, so what foods are carbs that are nutrient dense, 3, vegetables, and 4, we'll say healthy fats. Now to make this simple and fun, I compiled a top 7 list of the most popular foods that our most fit and successful clients eat regularly. Now this isn't, you don't have to eat these foods, but these are the best choices that people actually eat that have transformed, okay? So the top 7 healthy fat sources. 1, olives and olive oil. 2, avocado and avocado oil. 3, coconut and coconut oil. 4, macadamia nuts and macadamia nut oil. Walnuts and walnut oil. 6 is ghee, which is clarified butter. And what I could say, real butter. So butter that comes from healthy cows. Keep that in mind. So the terminology is tricky because of the laws, but we can go with real butter. If you can get it from a local farm, that's even better. And 7, almonds and almond butter. So those are the most popular and the most healthy fuel sources for fats. What about protein? Here are the top 7 vital proteins. 1, salmon and sardines. I recommend everyone eat salmon and sardines because it provides not only protein, but omega-3 fatty acids. And sardines also have a significant amount of vitamin D, as does salmon, and calcium. So they're nutrient dense. And so salmon and sardines, they're omega-3s, by the way, are Mother Nature's anti-inflammatory. And if you get enough of them, there's several studies that show that you extend your lifespan somewhere between 5 and 7 years. So it's just a little thing you can do to add to your life. So that's the first one, salmon and sardines. Other proteins, chicken breast, turkey breast, these are one that people eat regularly. Whey protein powder from healthy cows. So you want to be careful with protein powders because you have to look at manufacturing processes. So you want to make sure they use GMP standards, which stands for good manufacturing processes. And you also want to make sure they do third-party testing to ensure that what's in the product, what's on the label is actually in the product. So I would get your whey protein from either Thorne Nutrition, Thorne, or my favorite is Designs for Health. They own the facilities, they do all the sourcing, they use it top to bottom, where most supplement companies usually rent out a place and they don't have control over these things. And that's why a lot of supplements are tainted. So Whey Cool chocolate from Designs for Health tastes amazing, and it boosts immunity because it's manufactured in a way where it doesn't damage the protein. All right, I won't go into that. That just is a really important thing. The next thing is eggs. Now, there are all these rules about eggs. Try to get them from a local farm if you can. Just eggs are good for you, I'll tell you that. But if you have questions, I can clarify and tell you and all these things. But 3 eggs actually increase your testosterone levels naturally significantly. I'll share that research with you at another point. 6, organic beef and bison, elk. These are game meats, things like that, but from healthy animals. They're more nutrient dense. There's a lot of misinformation around beef specifically, and there's definitely an agenda to get people not to eat animal proteins, even though we thrive on them. But that's almost like a religion. So some of you probably right now hear that and probably mad at me. Take a deep breath, air hug. Okay. And then the last one, Greek yogurt with no sugar added. So the flavored ones you want to stay away from. You can always use like berries or something to flavor it. But Greek yogurt, tons of protein, good bacteria in there, good option for a lot of people. Top 7 high-octane carbohydrates, sweet potatoes and yams, berries of all types. Potatoes, these are white, red, golden, purple potatoes, and you want to obviously not have, you can make your own French fries, like bake them, use an air fryer, things like that, but you don't want potato chips in a bag and stuff like that, right? For the most part, those are free meals. 4, oats and porridge, depending where you're coming from. Try to get the highest quality. And so 5, black beans and chickpeas, hummus. These are beans of all type, really. Lentils would fit in there. 6, rice and rice cakes. Now, a lot of clients eat rice cakes because of the crunch factor, and it's just puffed rice. So no danger in that. But it gives them, it's a texture thing. So that's something good to know. 7, apples, which is one of the most common fruits to eat. There's something in apples called apple pectin, which helps remove heavy metals, by the way. I could literally go through each of these foods and tell you something like that about them. Because Mother Nature makes food that is medicine. Top 7 nutrient-rich vegetables. The most important of all the vegetables, cruciferous vegetables, especially in the world with toxins. Often estrogen levels are elevated due to toxins, whether they're pesticides on our vegetables and fruits, or if it's mainly that, but okay, I don't want to get off track here. But cruciferous vegetables have something called sulforaphane, and that helps modulate estrogen and actually prevents many different types of cancer. It's best to get 1 serving at least every day, literally. Broccoli sprouts have the most sulforaphane ounce per ounce, okay? And so having 100 grams a day or about a cup a day is a great idea. And you can also freeze them, and when you freeze it, it makes it more concentrated. So you get more bang for your buck, and you can throw that into a protein shake or a smoothie and have that in there. So that's also broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale is one of those. Fermented cabbage like sauerkraut or kimchi for digestion and good bacteria. 3 microgreens and sprouts of all types. I eat a lot of microgreens. I grow them myself, actually. You can just grow them in your kitchen. It only takes like 5 days, and you can make a ton of them. But they have 5 times more nutrients. So if you have microgreens from broccoli, for instance, that would be similar to sprouts. You actually have 5 times more nutrients in it than full-grown broccoli. Carrots, vitamin A, beta carotene. Asparagus, that's like a natural anti-inflammatory, actually. Celery has a lot of potassium in it. 7 tomatoes and tomato sauce, tons of lycopene, which is good for a myriad of things, including the prostate gland. Now, there's even more choices too. These are the most common, most popular from the people who have transformed. And so there's a whole list in here, and it's placed in the different categories. And there's even more foods beyond that. Next in the PDF, there are sample meals based off of your genetic test result, okay? And so there's a whole bunch of them in there. And we'll keep sharing more. These are just, you don't have to eat these meals. These are ideas. Like, you can build your own meals using the ultimate food list or those top 7 foods. There's also recipes in here. And so you can see all these things. There's a cool dessert recipe. Andre is great at this. It's chocolate protein mug cake. And it's just a way of taking foods and making them taste better. So check these things out. Have fun with them though. But there's tons of recipes everywhere. Once you know the structure, the blueprint, how to build these meals, and you know what foods are proteins, which are high octane carbs, which are vegetables, which are the good fats, then you can make these things. That's the key. But we got to go through this process of learning it, developing the skill set. And then if there's a food you don't like, ask yourself, how can I prepare this food in a way where I really enjoy it? And try to take flavor out of it first, function first, fuel first, then go beyond it. Because people that eat for flavor, and you've seen this, like sometimes people eat and it sounds like they're having a relationship with the food. And it's a little creepy in a lot of ways, right? But it's a sensation, right? And so what you want to do is you want to appreciate food. And so listen to that mindful eating coach cast and really take that to heart, because that's a skill we develop. Like, I really enjoy doing challenging things. So I remember I had a thing with Ben & Jerry's half-baked ice cream. It tastes really good, by the way. I hope I didn't plant a seed there, but I liked it too much. And so I was like, okay, this is dangerous. Now, if it's in my refrigerator, I'm gonna eat it. So I just wouldn't have it. I'm like, that's weak sauce. I'm about self-mastery. Self-mastery is all I need is within me now. I command my thoughts, I command my emotional states, I command my actions. And I am 100% personally responsible for everything that happens in my life. It may not always be my fault, but it's my responsibility to make it right. And so with that philosophy of self-mastery, I knew that this food had a power over me in a way, because I celebrated too much. I talked too highly about it. I made it a god. Like, I worshiped it in a way, and I'm exaggerating, of course, but that's what we do with things, right? We make it our god. We make it our religion. Like, oh, it's so good, I have to have this, I can't have this. And we exaggerate in these stories. You can't have that, I have to have this. That's nonsense. So we have to be careful with what we say. The spoken word has power. It can create and it can destroy. And that's part of self-mastery, taking command of our thoughts and the spoken word. Because everything comes from that, just that. We become the stories we say to ourselves and others, and the stories we believe. And we start to believe things through emotion and repetition. So, when you eat food, you want to have power over the food. Now, that may sound weird, but what I mean by that is what I did is I put an empty container of this ice cream in my refrigerator so that I would see it every time I opened my refrigerator, so I would have to think about it and then change my thought. And then I had it in my freezer, and it sat there forever. I think it might still be there, I don't even know. But because I made that a goal, I wanted to overcome it. I didn't want something to control me in any way. I am in command, because those little things carry over to all the other things in life. Make sense? May not make sense, but hopefully it will at some point. It just sounds crazy right now. So in here, you have a sample week of meals. Now, one thing I want to point out is we really made sure that there was a lot of variety in it. Now, people that are really successful with their nutrition tend to eat the same foods over and over again. But let me explain. So I had a nutritionist back when I was 21. I was fighting and I was competing in bodybuilding. And so I got a nutritionist, and this man told me what to eat, and I just ate it. And that was it. And I didn't take a single bite of anything I wasn't supposed to. And at the end of that, I could not stop. After I won the bodybuilding contest, I won my fights, and I went off the rails. I could not stop eating donuts, like from this place called Donut Connection. Like I was out of control, and I was embarrassed by it. I didn't want to tell anybody. I was like covered in powdered sugar every day. I'm just kidding. It's not that bad. But I felt terrible. I was tired. I felt like I was a fraud because I'm here coaching people and I couldn't control myself. And so what I did was I went 100%. I was focused on perfection. And as soon as it didn't matter anymore, I had no control of it. I didn't have a compelling vision of the future. I didn't have the next goal. My goal was achieved. And so a really important part is to have a compelling vision of the future when you're 100 years old. Just something in the future that you're always striving towards, that you're looking forward to. But you also want a goal for the next 3 months, next 6 months. And so that's part of the North Star process. I just wanted to feed it in there. But this is what I learned from this clinic. It's called the Institute of Eating Management. And this was 25 years ago now. But they had all these food records from all these patients. And what they found was, and they also worked with bodybuilders too, which was interesting. So two extremes: people with eating challenges, people that were just trying to lose weight, and then people who were going all in on it. And what they found is most people have two different breakfast options, or meal one options, you could call it. And so they would have their predominant one that they have most of the time, and every now and then they'd throw another one in. So really, with knowing that, you probably need 2 or 3 breakfast options. That's what you want to find. You probably want something that's fast, maybe like a protein shake, and something that you can make at home, and something to get if you had to pick it up somewhere, right? So now, what they found with snacks was something similar. Usually people had the same snack or two. And I'll say snack, I want you to be wary of this, because snacking can destroy your results. Now, snacking is usually mindless. It's oh, I think I need a little something. What that is stress. You produces some adrenaline, and then now you're coming down, and your blood sugar is going to be low, and you're going to think you need something. You don't need anything, but that's a loop you got caught in. So if you're going to snack, decide in advance what you're going to have. If you're going to have something, if you're going to have a protein shake, or if you're going to have something, be consistent with it though. Don't just snack mindlessly. I just want to plant that seed. So when I say snack, I'm referring to a fast meal, something that's quick, like a protein shake or Greek yogurt with berries, for instance, something like that. But that's the quick options. The breakfast, they're about the same. Now lunch, there's more variety. On average, people had 3 lunch options. Now lunch is just a meal at a certain time of the day. It doesn't matter. There's no such thing as lunch food, dinner food, breakfast food. Those are just beliefs we have. So you can eat breakfast food, quote, breakfast food for dinner and vice versa. It doesn't matter. So whatever you prefer. So there's 3 lunch options, and then dinners, the final or later meals, we'll say the evening meals, had the most variety. 4 to 5 different options on average each week. So if you just look at that, you need about 12 to 15 options, kind of like your personal menu that you're going to eat off of most of the time. And that way you can automate this, because what I want you to understand is that as you go through this process, it doesn't require as much energy to build skills, to expand your identity, to become the type of person where this is automated. You got to go through this process. It's like an initiation. It's the challenge. It's like, can you wake up and summon the lion, summon the lioness? Can you joyfully crush your workouts, rain or shine, no matter what's going on? Can you stick to your eating plan even when life gets challenging? Well, it's easy when you've done the work. It's easy when you've created these rules in your mind, when you've created all these options. You've already did the decision making, and that way you don't have to keep making decisions every day. What you never want to do is wake up and say, what am I going to eat today? Or worse, get hungry and say, what do I feel like eating? Never ask yourself that question. Because when you're hungry and you're in that state, you're going to make terrible decisions. So we want to decide in advance. You want to plan. You want to automate this. And so that was a long way of saying that you have all these different options in your sample week of meals. But you don't have to do this exactly. This is an example, and we gave you a bunch of options so that you can pick and choose, you can experiment and see what that works better for you. Make sense? Okay. Now, one thing I do want to point out is in your DNA nutrition guide, there is a sample week of menus. There's 2 of them. One is to add lean muscle and increase metabolic rate. That's a different way of eating than if you want to burn off excess body fat. So you have one to burn off fat. When I say fat, not weight, because weight could be muscle. That will slow your metabolic rate. So if you want to add lean muscle and boost your metabolism, there's a sample week of menus. Then, if there's a separate week of menus to burn off excess body fat. Okay, I want to point that out so it's not confusing. Now, this last part is how do you modify as you go through it? Because what a lot of people don't realize is like every diet works for 3 weeks about, and then your body adapts. This is a process called metabolic adaptation. So sometimes I'll tell people what to eat, and they'll follow it, and they're like, "Oh, it didn't work." And I was like, "What do you mean it didn't work?" And they're like, "Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm not losing any weight." And it doesn't make sense to me because that's not how we do things. Because your body will adapt to any stress. Like there's a point where people say you can do 5 push-ups when you first start, right? But if you keep at it and you're consistent and you challenge yourself, you'll be able to do 50 push-ups at some point if that's your goal. Your body becomes what you demand of it. So in nutrition, the same thing applies. If you eat 2,000 calories a day and you're burning off 2,500 calories, there's 500 calories that the body needs. It's got to come from somewhere. This is called a calorie deficit, right? So it's going to pull from excess body fat and convert it into blood sugar and turn it into fuel. So you're going to have less fat at the end of that day. So you have to have that calorie deficit. But eventually, that's not going to work. Your body will adapt to 2,000 calories. So what do? You adjust. So this is what I call the BB3 results tracking system. So let's go through this. This is how you shatter every plateau that comes your way. When you feel as though you're putting out a lot of effort but not making progress, that's frustrating. That's why we need a system to assess what is really happening. But we need a system that is simple, reliable, and does not require a lot of time or expensive equipment. Enter the BB3 results tracking system. If you aren't assessing, then you are guessing. Before I explain how this works, you need to know and understand the scientific method. We all know that the way we feel determines to a large extent how we perceive life. If you are feeling joyful, then you tend to notice the beautiful aspects of life, what's good. If you are feeling frustrated or irritated or any fear-based emotion, then you tend to notice what's wrong with everything, including yourself and your body. It's part of being human. Now, I worked with all these fitness models. There was this magazine for women fitness, and so all the cover models would work with me, and they would fly in to my training center, and I would coach them. And I just remember the way these people are in insane shape, like super fit, and they were so hard on themselves because they were judging themselves, and they would go on these extreme diets and do way too much exercise and then get injuries, or they get stuck because they didn't have a system for tracking what's really happening. They were going by how they feel. And when you feel like you're not enough and then you look in the mirror, you're going to think it's not good enough. And we all know the way you look doesn't really matter, but we should honor the body. We should take care of the body. But you are not your body. You are not even your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. You are the spirit that embodies your body. So I remember when my grandma passed away when I was like 5 years old, probably something like that. And we're in the hospital and they have all the machines on her. And you know, the one machine's the EEG, looking at the electrical activity of the brain, then the one on the heart, the EKG, electrocardiograms, looking at the electrical activity of the heart. And so, and then, you know, my grandfather was like, said like, she's gone. And I was like, no, she's right there. Grandma's right there. He's like, no. And he was, you know, really stoic about it and explained to me, no, this is what these machines do. And so at that moment, I realized we are not our bodies. We are a spark of God. We are this electrical charge. That's what we are. That's our soul, our spirit. And when you know your true identity, who you really are, you no longer look in the mirror and say, look at me, I am this, I am that. You gotta be careful. That's an identity statement. Identity statements drive all behavior. If you think I am the type of person that hates to sweat, you are not gonna get in shape. I'm sorry. It's not. I'm the type of person that loves to eat. You're screwed. I'm telling you right now. I've done this a long time. You need to change that belief. You can enjoy food, but love it? Like, are you gonna marry it? That's insane. All right, but that's what we do. This is part of being human. We need to command the mind and the body. Okay, so back to the results tracking system. To get you where you want to be, we need accurate data. We need to separate the feelings from facts. Here's how. So the scientific method is basically this. You have a hypothesis, but in our terms, we would set a goal. And here's an example. I am intending to incinerate 20 pounds of body fat and enjoy the process and to follow the plan as outlined. 2, you're going to measure. So before you begin, assess your starting point and continue to track those 3 important optics, which are your body weight, tape measurements over your hips, navel, and neck, and your strength and endurance on your resistance training days. In terms of nutrition, the 2 most important optics or measurements are total daily calories, the amount of food you eat, and you can use the hand portion method for that, and daily protein intake. So if you're having 6 palms of protein a day, that will tell us something. That's, you know, a palm of protein is between 20 and 30 grams of protein. So I'll give us an estimation. Next, after you set your goal and you do your starting measurements, you joyfully crush your plan as outlined, consistently and relentlessly. Be sure to stick to it and not do random stuff. Random actions tend to fail. They always fail, in fact. No one ever gets into great shape by accident. You need a system, and that's what we have here. So when you're going for a goal, when you're focused on the transformation, you need to do this. Once you get there, it's not that much work. You can do these measurements once a month as a check-in to make sure you don't get too far off base. But we always want to have a system for checking in. So once you're following the plan, the thing is, if sometimes you follow the plan, sometimes you don't, and then we're going to remeasure, and then something changes, we don't know what caused it. So if you're not following the plan, the goal is to follow the plan. So say you're following the plan, and now you reassess. Then you modify your nutrition as needed. So did your body adapt and you're no longer making progress? Or did you go off the rails and you ate too much? Or you're following the plan, but you're gaining weight? What is that? Is it muscle or is it fat? That's what these measurements will tell us. So after you reassess, you're going to modify your nutrition, and then you're going to repeat steps 3 and 4 until the outcome's accomplished. So you're going to joyfully crush your plan as outlined. Then you're going to remeasure and then modify, and then go back and follow your plan, then remeasure and modify back and forth, and it's going to lead to constant and never-ending improvement. It won't be a straight line, but you will trend in the proper direction over time. This is the huge mistake people make. They don't do these things. They just go by, whatever. And really what they're doing is they're dabbling. No one likes to hear that. No one wants to say they're a dabbler, but if you're not doing these things, you're just randomly doing stuff. That is dabbling. No one's ever gone to the gym and just showed up and just went through the machines and got in incredible shape. They went through a process of learning this, learning how their body works. And why this isn't taught in schools is beyond me. We're going to change that. Now, what do I need to measure? Here are the 5 optics, I mentioned them briefly, that tell us what we need to know for ongoing improvement. This data enables us to make decisions and modifications with precision. 1, body weight. Ideally, this is done in the morning under identical conditions because things change. Sudden swings in body weight are usually due to water weight and food in the digestive tract. Because of this, it's important to take the average change in body weight over the course of 7 days. If possible, take your body weight every morning on the same scale to identify the trend. At minimum, weigh in at least 3 times per week and then take the average of those measurements. That will give us a more accurate number. 2, tape measurements using what I call myotape. You can get this on Amazon. They're like $12 or something. The myotape is a tape measure that uses the same amount of pressure every time. This helps mitigate human error, so we don't squeeze too much or loosen up, depending on what we want, right? As a bare minimum, take measurements over the hips, navel, and neck every 7 to 14 days when you're going for a goal. You can do it once a month once you achieve your goal. It is best done on the same day each week. This data, these measurements, along with your body weight, can be used to approximate your body composition. This is your body fat percentage. Your body composition indicates whether you are gaining or losing muscle or fat. And there's a link in here for the U.S. Army body composition calculator where you can just pop that data in and it'll give you a percent body fat. That body fat percentage is not accurate. The only way to have an accurate body fat percentage is through an autopsy. And you can only do that once. Like DEXA scans has a margin of error. Hydrostatic underwater weighing, margin of error. And they're incredibly inconvenient. So what we need is a simple thing we can do anywhere. It's not expensive. You don't have to go somewhere. It doesn't take a lot of time just to see what's happening. Where are we trending? So if your body fat percentage goes down on this Army body fat calculator, that means your body fat percentage is improving. If it's going up, it's going to tell us the right direction, but the percentage is not going to be accurate. None of them are. Okay? Now the next one is I created the programs in a way, you notice the programs change every 2 weeks, in a way where they are an assessment as well, so you don't have to do a separate assessment. Training session performance. This is your muscle, your strength and endurance changes. So before muscle or fat changes in the body, your strength and endurance changes. Your strength and endurance changes can predict what's happening before it shows up on a scale, tape measure, or even the mirror. Were you able to do more from week 1 to week 2 in your program? Did you give your best and did you give your best effort and did you improve in week 2? If so, your body is recovering and that's what we want. If you give your best effort and you are not able to do more reps or increase the resistance in week 2, then your body is not recovering. It's not healing fast enough. I'll explain this quickly. When you train, your body is being challenged. It's being damaged, actually. You're tearing tissues and stuff. Then your body recovers and heals in between training sessions. Now, if you go too long without your body able to recover and heal, it starts to accumulate. Then your immune function is compromised and your joints, connective tissue, and muscles are not fully healed yet. This can trigger the onset of fatigue, cold symptoms, or coming down with something. This is also the most common cause of injuries. Like, think about it. You're doing basically the same stuff on a regular basis. Why all of a sudden you tweak something? You strain something. It's accumulative fatigue. Your body's not recovering. This is referred to as the stress recovery cycle, by the way. And so we want to build your resilience. And that's what doing this system allows us. We can take on more and it won't affect us. So your body must be challenged and then provided with the raw materials and time, the resources to rebuild and recover. If you gave your best effort and were not able to do more in week 2 of your program, then your body needs resources to heal and recover. There are 6 primary recovery factors. So let's say week 2, week 1, you on an 8-minute circuit, just as an example, you got through 3 rounds, 1 exercise, and 3 reps. Next week, you hit diary on the bottom of the home screen, scroll back, and you're like, oh, last Monday, I got through 3 rounds, 1 exercise, and 3 reps. I'm going to crush that. And then you give it your best, and you weren't able to surpass it. you're not recovering, it's one of these 6 things. 1, sleep quality and quantity. How have you been sleeping? 2, are you getting enough calories, fuel, energy to rebuild and repair cells? Are you ingesting enough energy, calories to heal? Eating enough food is a common mistake. People tend to overeat or undereat. There is a zone where you release stored fat for fuel while maintaining lean muscle. And this keeps you looking good, feeling young, strong, and energized. The next recovery factor is your daily protein intake. Protein is by far the most important building block in the body. When you look in the mirror, you are looking at protein. Your skin, hair, nails, eyes, and everything, including your organs, muscle, and connective tissue. To recover, you need sufficient protein each day. You take your body weight in pounds times 0.8, and that's your target protein intake in grams. The next thing is hydration. This is your most abundant ingredient, water. Adequate fluid and electrolyte, mineral intake. Primarily magnesium, sodium, potassium, and then chloride would be the other major electrolyte. But you can use something simple like a natural salt, like Redmond salt, Celtic salt. They now have Arctic salt, Himalayan salt, all these different types. But here's the formula: body weight in pounds times 0.5. So divide your body weight in pounds in half. That's how many ounces you want to shoot for of water, of fluid. Now you can also have unsweetened beverages, like coffee would actually count. A lot of people think it dehydrates you. It actually doesn't, unless you don't usually drink it, and then you do. Tea, same thing. There's a lot of benefits. A really high polyphenol count in coffees and teas. Really important for health. After hydration, omega-3 fatty acids. This is one we added about a year ago because of its effects on life extension, and it's Mother Nature's anti-inflammatory and cognitive enhancer. Like I said before, salmon, sardines, and then supplements like fish and krill oil. I would get them from Thorne or Biotics or Designs for Health, just because they're reliable and they do third-party testing and they're pure. Those are the best sources. And you want, on average, 2 to 3 grams per day. So at least a palm-sized portion of sardines or salmon would do the trick. But that will promote the health benefits. Now, the last recovery factor is the X factor. This is mental and emotional distress. There are 2 types of stress. The good kind of stress that builds resilience and makes us vital is referred to as eustress, EU stress. The type of stress that is destructive is called distress. Intelligently challenge your body with exercise like we do is eustress. Overdoing exercising, the more is better attitude, or not exercising at all, creates distress. This also applies to every other area of life: finances, businesses, relationships, self-image. So if you're having cash flow problems in your business, that can cause mental and emotional distress. So some action needs to be taken. Something needs to be resolved. So those are the things you want to do. So how can you resolve what is distressing you? Do you need to forgive someone or even yourself? What would be healing and make this right? What would put you in a state to make you more resourceful so that you can resolve this? What needs to happen, or could I just let it go, right? So let's come back to the 5 optics that guide our decision making so that you can make progress towards your goal. So far, we have addressed the importance of consistently tracking your body weight, taking those tape measurements to help estimate changes in fat and muscle levels, and using strength and endurance as an early indicator. Now we need to look at your fuel intake. There are 2 optics that matter most when it comes to nutrition. Total daily calories, so the amount of food you eat, and total daily protein. Now we'll finish by putting this into action. Let's say you hit a plateau. You are following the plan as outlined for the last few weeks, and you are not losing fat. You are averaging about 2,000 calories per day and consuming all your protein regularly, yet your body weight and waist measurement is at a standstill. The scale says the same thing as 3 weeks ago. Your strength is going up though. What does this mean? Your body is receiving enough fuel and calories to maintain body weight, but not enough for noticeable fat gain or fat loss, or muscle gain or muscle loss. In this example, what needs to happen for fat loss to occur? Eat less calories by decreasing the amount of carbs or fat by half a serving at each meal. Keep your protein constant to protect muscle and curb cravings. So let's say you're having a fuel meal, right? And you're having 2 palms of protein. Then you're having 2 thumbs of healthy fats. And then you're having like 3 handfuls of vegetables. Vegetables will stay the same. You don't really absorb the calories from vegetables, but they make you feel full and they provide vitamins and minerals and other nutrients. Protein you want to keep constant, so it's going to come from your fat. So in this case, this is a fire meal actually, I said, sorry about that. You would have 1 thumb instead of 2 thumbs of fat at each meal if you're eating all fire meals. If it's a fuel meal, which is vegetables, protein, and high octane carbs, and you're having, say, a fist-sized portion or a handful of high octane carbs, cut that to half a handful, right? So that's a simple way, without measuring food, estimate and use the hand portioning method to adjust your fuel intake so that you can go in. This will create a calorie or energy deficit, causing the body to convert stored energy, excess fat, as fuel. You'll burn fat. Now, when you use this tracking system, it's this simple, literally. So here you have those 5 optics. So if you have those 5 optics, then when you're working with me, you can tell me this stuff, and then I can guide you with precision. So you don't need to know how to do this part. Like, okay, once you have that data and you share it with me, I'm like, hey, this is what you do. And then each time we do that and we go through it, you start to understand it, because it's super simple when you have this system. Where what we're doing is we're eliminating options. We're only showing the options that actually matter. Instead of saying we could do anything, it's like, no. Here's our system. Here's our optics. Here's what's happening. Here's our goal. What do we do? And that's what I can help you with, and you can learn this so that you know how to do this for the rest of your life. So most challenging part of all this, though, is living it, following the principles and the plan. This is why mindset is the single most important skill to master in life. But if you're reading this and listening to me on this audio, you're the type of person that can and will find a way. And you're not alone. I'm in your corner. Andre is too. If you follow the plan, you will forge a body that is lean, strong, energized, athletic, that won't let you down when called upon. You will move with ease and agility like a panther on the prowl. When others become frail as they age, you will inspire them through your example. You will be a living, shining example of what's possible. That's a vision worth accomplishing, worth focusing upon. You were born a lion, not a fearful lamb, my friend. And know in your heart and soul that the rewards far outweigh the effort required. Let's do this. You tap into the real you, but you have to retrain yourself. The way you retrain yourself is you wake your ass up in the morning and you say, I am here for a reason and a purpose. And it's bigger than my moods. It's bigger than the difficulties of the day. I am here to live like a lion, not the fear of a lamb.